Some parties are planned, others are survived. And then there are the ones that allegedly detonate the moment the wrong person walks through the door, because according to online whispers, Blueface finally stepped back into the spotlight, ready for a comeback moment. Only for the night to allegedly spiral into chaos, the second ChriseanRock showed up uninvited. Phones froze, music dipped, and suddenly the return party felt less like a celebration and more like a countdown. Within minutes, the internet was buzzing with claims that the room flipped, tensions spiked. And one person didn't stick around to see how it ended, because rumor has it Jaidyn Alexis didn't just leave, she allegedly bolted. No official footage, no calm explanation, just fragments, deleted posts, and that unmistakable feeling that something happened nobody wanted fully recorded. This wasn't a red carpet return, it was a reality show episode nobody scheduled. So what really went down inside that party? Was it coincidence, confrontation, or calculated chaos? And why does this moment feel like it reopened every unresolved chapter at once? Strap in, because once this door swings open, it doesn't close quietly. The night was supposed to be about redemption, a return. A carefully curated moment designed to signal that the chaos was behind him and the spotlight was back where it belonged. According to online chatter, Blueface stepped into his return party with the kind of confidence that says new chapter unlocked. Music up, drinks flowing, cameras catching angles meant to rewrite the narrative. For a few minutes, the illusion worked. Smiles looked real enough. The energy felt controlled. The past stayed politely uninvited until it didn't single quotes T-job, because allegedly, the entire room shifted the second ChriseanRock walked in. Not announced, not expected, just there. And according to multiple online accounts, the vibe didn't just change, it froze. Conversations stalled mid-sentence, heads turned all at once. Phones paused like people suddenly remembered this wasn't just content anymore. No two people online described the entrance the same way, which somehow made it more believable. Some claim it was loud, bold, unmistakable. Others insist it was quiet but heavy. The kind of presence that doesn't need noise to be felt. A few say nothing was said at all, and in situations like this, silence is louder than shouting. What everyone agrees on is the reaction. The party stopped being a party and started feeling like a scene. That awkward, electric moment when nobody knows what's about to happen, but everyone knows something is. And then there's the detail that sent the internet into overdrive, the exit, because allegedly, Jaidyn Alexis didn't wait around to see how the night would unfold. According to multiple posts, she left quickly, fast enough that people online didn't describe it as leaving. They described it as running, panic, self-preservation, escape, pick your narrative. The internet tried all of them. That single moment became the spark. Screenshots spread within minutes. Captions escalated the language. Words like stormed, crashed, and fled did laps around timelines. Whether accurate or exaggerated didn't matter anymore. The image had already been painted. A return party hijacked by unresolved history, and silence followed. No group photo smoothing things over. No friendly clip proving everything was cool. Just fragments, deleted stories, accounts going quiet. The kind of digital cleanup that never calms speculation, it feeds it. Fans didn't wait for confirmation. They created context out of memory. Old arguments resurfaced. Past confrontations were replayed like previously on segments. Every unresolved issue suddenly felt relevant again. The internet loves continuity, especially when it's messy. Reaction. Pages jumped in almost immediately. Some framed it as an ambush. Others called it inevitable. A few tried to sound reasonable, reminding viewers that rumors aren't facts. Those takes didn't travel far. Chaos always outruns caution. Memes followed, because memes always follow. Not light-hearted ones, sharp ones. The kind that poke at how grown adults can turn a party into a cliffhanger. Comparisons flew fast. People joked this made reality TV look underwritten. Others said the situation had more tension than a season finale nobody planned. What really fueled the fire was the lack of clarity. Was there a confrontation? Were words exchanged? Did security step in? Nobody knew, but everyone speculated like they were there. In the absence of footage, imagination took over. Supporters on all sides dug in immediately. One camp argued that showing up was a statement all by itself. Another insisted leaving quickly was the only rational response. Neutral observers didn't stay neutral long. The internet doesn't reward fence-sitting. By the next morning, the story had already evolved beyond the party. It wasn't about one night anymore, it was about patterns, about history refusing to stay buried, about whether this was coincidence or choreography, accident or intention. Every move afterward was scrutinized, every post liked or ignored, every smile questioned. The return party meant to signal stability instead reopened every unresolved chapter at once. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes admitting. Even if nothing explosive happened, the belief that it might have already reshaped the narrative, perception outran reality, as it always does. The party that was supposed to mark a comeback instead reignited uncertainty. Fans didn't ask what's next, they asked how bad is this about to get? Because in this circle, history doesn't stay in the past. It shows up uninvited, flips the room upside down, and leaves everyone arguing about what really happened long after the music stops. By the time the party footage stopped circulating, the internet had already decided the story was bigger than the night itself. What started as whispers hardened into a narrative with momentum, and momentum online doesn't slow, it multiplies. The return party became a launchpad for something messier, louder, and way more public than anyone planned. Reaction channels lit up like emergency beacons. Some creators framed the moment as a calculated move, others as pure coincidence that exploded because of history. A few tried to thread the needle, saying nobody knew enough to draw conclusions. Those videos underperformed. Chaos always wins. The algorithm. Memes followed immediately, because humor is how the internet processes tension. But these weren't playful jokes, they were sharp, almost defensive. The kind of memes that laugh while side-eyeing the situation. Comparisons flew fast. People joked this was a crossover episode nobody asked for, a reality TV cliffhanger that showed up uninvited. The Kardashians could never improvise suspense like this. The language escalated with every repost. Crash turned into stormed, left early became ran out. Each retelling sharpened the edges. Accuracy wasn't the point anymore, impact was, and the impact was undeniable. The story had legs because it tapped into unresolved tension everyone already knew existed. Fans split into camps almost instantly. One side argued that showing up was a power move, a reminder that the past doesn't disappear just because the music is loud. The other side insisted leaving quickly was the smartest play, a move rooted in self-preservation rather than fear. Neutral takes drowned in the noise. Online, you're either defending or accusing, there's no space between. Every indirect action became evidence, a like here, an unfollow there. A story posted hours later that had nothing to do with the party suddenly meant everything. Screenshots circulated with arrows and timestamps like a true crime corkboard built out of vibes. Context evaporated. Interpretation took over. Celebrity adjacency poured gasoline on the fire. People even loosely connected to the situation started tweeting about boundaries and energy shifts. Vague posts became headlines. Silence became suspicious. The internet reads intent into everything, especially when it wants a twist. The narrative widened beyond the party. It became a referendum on cycles, how certain dynamics keep replaying no matter how many fresh starts are announced. Commentators pointed out the irony of a return meant to signal growth, immediately reopening old chapters. Others argued that history only resurfaces when it's invited. Nobody agreed on who invited what. Live stream stretched on for hours, repeating the same questions with new inflection. Was there a confrontation? Did words get exchanged? Did security intervene? Each creator answered differently, often contradicting themselves. 10 minutes later, viewers stayed anyway. Not for answers, but for the feeling of being in the middle of something. What made the escalation especially volatile was the absence of definitive footage. no clear clip to settle the debate, no single angle to anchor the truth. In that vacuum, imagination did what it always does: it filled the gaps with worst-case scenarios. Supporters accused critics of sensationalizing a moment that could have been nothing. Critics fired back that minimizing tension was irresponsible. The argument stopped being about the party and started being about who gets to define reality. The person who experienced it or the crowd narrating it from afar. As the day wore on, the tone shifted from playful speculation to something heavier, less laughing emojis, more long paragraphs. People started talking about patterns, accountability, and whether this circle thrives on volatility because it keeps everyone relevant. That question landed uncomfortably close to home for a lot of creators. Meanwhile, every new post from Blueface, ChriseanRock, or Jaidyn Alexis was dissected for. Subtext, smiles were questioned, captions were analyzed, even unrelated content was dragged into the discussion like circumstantial evidence. The escalation reached a strange plateau, not explosive, but constant, a low hum of tension that didn't burn out, the kind that sits in the background, waiting for the next move to reactivate it. Brands and collaborators allegedly started calculating risk, not with statements, just with distance, silence where there used to be noise, absence where there used to be visibility. The kind of shift that doesn't trend but absolutely matters. And beneath all of it was the same lingering question nobody could answer. Was this moment accidental or inevitable? A coincidence amplified by the internet to a proof that some stories refused to end cleanly. By the time attention began to drift, the narrative had already reshaped itself. This wasn't about who showed up or who left anymore. It was about unresolved history colliding with public spectacle, about how quickly a controlled moment can unravel when the past walks in uninvited. The escalation didn't need new information to survive. It fed on interpretation, memory, and the audience's appetite for unfinished business. And as long as that appetite exists, the story stays alive. Because when a return party turns into a referendum on everything that came before, the real fallout doesn't arrive with shouting. It arrives quietly through tension, distance, and a sense that whatever comes next won't be simple. When the volume finally dipped, what remained wasn't closure, it was tension with a long memory. The kind that hums under every post, every caption, every appearance. Allegedly, the party ended hours ago, but the implications didn't clock out. They lingered, reshaping the story without ever announcing themselves. The immediate reaction cooled, but scrutiny replaced it. Every move afterward became a test, not of innocence or guilt, of optics. Who posted first? Who stayed silent? Who smiled too easily? Once a narrative hardens online, it doesn't loosen with time. It tightens. Supporters argued the situation proved how fast the internet can inflate a moment into mythology. To them, the exit was smart, the entrance was incidental, and the frenzy was the real problem. Critics saw something else entirely. They claimed the moment exposed a pattern: how unresolved history resurfaces the second the spotlight returns to interpretations, both loud, neither willing to budge. At the center of it all sat Blueface, caught between a comeback narrative and a reminder that comebacks don't erase timelines. The return party was meant to signal forward motion. Instead, it reopened questions people thought had been archived. Growth looks clean on flyers. It's messier in real rooms. Then there's ChriseanRock, whose alleged presence reframed the night without a single confirmed exchange. No footage of a confrontation was needed. The implication alone carried weight. In the internet economy, proximity can be as powerful as proof. And Jaidyn Alexis became the symbol everyone argued over. Was the quick exit fear strategy, or simply knowing when a situation isn't worth the energy? Each camp chose the version that fit their worldview. The moment stopped being personal and turned emblematic, people projecting meaning where certainty never showed up. Behind the scenes, the consequences allegedly arrived quietly. Not cancellations, not statements, distance, invitations cooling off, collaborations pausing without explanation. Risk assessment doesn't trend, but it absolutely moves decisions. When uncertainty enters the room, people step back even if they never say why. Relationships felt it too. Public alliances became careful. Words got vague. Silence turned strategic. Nobody wanted to be misread as taking a side in a story the internet had already polarized. When a moment becomes a referendum, neutrality becomes suspicious and support becomes costly. The audience shifted as well. The jokes thinned out. The takes got longer. People started talking about cycles, how certain dynamics replay no matter how many resets are announced. How the past doesn't need an invitation when it already knows the address. That realization landed heavier than any meme. Attempts to redirect attention worked only briefly. New posts tried to steer the conversation elsewhere, but the reference point stayed. Every unrelated clip got pulled back into the orbit. That's how unfinished stories behave. They magnetize everything nearby. Critics insisted the outrage would fade like it always does. Supporters countered that something had changed, even if subtly. Both were right. Attention drifts, memory files away. The next time a return is announced, this moment becomes the footnote nobody mentions, but everyone remembers. What made the aftermath especially unsettling was the lack of a definitive ending. No clear confrontation to condemn, no clean misunderstanding to resolve, just a night that reactivated old chapters and then walked away. Humans want conclusions. When they don't get them, they invent lessons instead. One lesson echoed louder than the rest. Control is fragile. You can plan the optics, curate the guest list, set the tone, but the past doesn't care about your run of show. It shows up when it wants and rewrites the script mid-scene. Another lesson cut closer to the audience. The internet's appetite for unfinished business is bottomless. A single ambiguous moment can sustain days of debate, weeks of suspicion, and months of subtext. Proof isn't required. Possibility is enough. Even those who believed nothing dramatic happened admitted the vibe felt off, not because of danger, but because of scale. The speed at which assumptions turned into certainty unsettled people. That feeling outlasts any headline. The story didn't end. It stabilized into a background tension, the kind that flares with the next appearance, the next caption, the next party invite. It waits. And when it wakes up, it won't ask permission. This wasn't a scandal with a neat bow. It was a reminder that history in public lives doesn't fade, it hibernates. And when a moment gives it oxygen, it stretches, stands up, and demands attention. Again, so the return party became something else entirely. Not a celebration, but a checkpoint. A reminder that growth isn't proven by announcements, it's tested by moments you didn't plan for. If you made it this far, congratulations, you just watched another simple party turn into a full-blown internet case study. No arrests, no footage, no official statements. Yet somehow the timeline still managed to hold a trial, reach a verdict, and argue about the sentence all before breakfast. That's talent. Now I want your take. Did this whole situation get blown way out of proportion by an internet that treats tension like oxygen? Or do you think that exit said everything words didn't need to? Was this coincidence, self-preservation, or history reminding everyone it never actually left? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this debate isn't even close to finished. The comment section is where the real after-party always happens. If this breakdown made you laugh, side-eye your screen, or mutter "here we go again," do me a favor and smash that like button like it personally embarrassed you in public. It feeds the algorithm, boosts the channel, and lets YouTube know you're here for the messy truth, not the watered-down version. And if you're not subscribed yet, fix that immediately. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because stories like this don't come with warnings, and the next time chaos walks into a room uninvited, you'll want the breakdown before the internet rewrites the plot again. This channel lives where celebrity moments turn into cultural flashpoints, where silence gets louder than words and history never stays buried. No fluff, no fake neutrality, just the mess, the meaning, and the moments everyone pretends not to notice. Because in this world, the music always comes back on. but the tension never really leaves. Welcome to Fame Flaws. Fame Flaws.